I feel like we're about ready to get started, so I think we should. And for those who don't know me, I'm Lolly Lewis. I'm the founder of Amateur Music Network, and I'm so glad to see everybody. I'm really glad you're here today. This is going to be a very exciting workshop for us. I am so thrilled to meet Lynn Kuo, who is such an enthusiastic and generous mentor. I just have a really great feeling about our work today, and I'm going to turn it over to her right away. I just want to let you all know that we really encourage you to ask questions, and we want this to feel very interactive. So on the whole, it's probably best to ask your questions in chat, but there's a small enough number that I'm not forcing everyone to be muted. When we get into conversation, we may go ahead and um, ask you to unmute. But for now, if you ask your questions in the chat, that would be great. And otherwise, I think that's really all you need to know from me. We're delighted to turn it over to Lynn to harmonize our warrior spirits.
Molly, you are the best. Where do you come up with those? You are fantastic. Harmonize our musical spirit or musical spirits? Is that what you said? Warrior spirits. Warrior spirits. I gotta hire you as my copywriter. Uh, okay. Well, you know what? The first thing I would love to know is where everybody's from. Maybe if you can just type that in the chat, and then also to give me an idea what background you have, instrument maybe, and whether you're amateur, you're chamber music, you're orchestral player, you're a teacher, just so I have a level of the room. Um, and let's see, anything you want to share about I love theory and harmony, or I have no clue, or anything, just so I have an idea. San Francisco. Yeah, hi Carol. Cleveland. Yay, I know Carol. Amateur singer, producer. Yes, awesome. And Garrett from the Met, I know that. And Garrett is an unbelievable educator for this kind of topic. Garrett, you're the best. I'm gonna ask you for my help. You'll be my lifeline. Okay, Ronald. Hi, Ronald. You're from the Bay Area. Oh, there's so many of you. I want to be in the Bay Area right now. I was okay. FYI, I was talking to my brother, and he's in East Bay, and I've got two cute little nephews. So I was just talking to them just hours beforehand. Okay, wow, there's so many from San Francisco. Can you please adopt me? Oh, yay. I feel so connected now to the Bay Area. I just saw my nephews in Castro Valley. Yeah. Okay, so amateur pianist. Okay, great. So I will start a really quick and cute slide presentation. At any point, I might not be able to see your faces. So if you have a question, please holler, unmute yourself and ask, Lynn, could you slow down? Lynn, could you please explain that? If there's anything I say that is, did I say it too fast, or you don't know what I'm talking about, please don't be shy. Or if you already know what I'm talking about, say, Lynn, speed up. You already know it. Okay, so, okay, Chicago, Milwaukee, this is great. Oh, wow. Okay. Sister Marie Therese, I know you're a beautiful violinist. I know that already. Okay. Half Moon Bay is gorgeous. Wow. Half Moon Bay, so beautiful. Okay, so just to give you a tiny background about myself, actually, I actually started on the piano. So I actually feel like the piano has informed the way I play the violin. I actually did a lot of piano accompaniment for choirs, and I also ended up creating a choral arrangement of a Christmas carol. So I ended up doing okay at theory, and I feel like theory has really helped me understand the music that I play better. And then as I got into orchestra and I'm playing inside of the ballet pit, I play in the National Ballet of Orchestra, all I'm doing is learning my part, just the first violin part. And then I start to go into the mode of learning my music, and I'm starting to forget all of the harmony training that I had accumulated as a student because I'm just paying attention to the top line. And then one day I was trying to learn how to improvise. And all of a sudden, if anyone knows Christian Howes, the violinist, does anyone know Chris Howes, the violinist? Yeah, yeah, Ruby does. So he's fantastic. And he was saying, Sonia, hi, Sonia. So he talks about a lot about harmony and learning the changes, learning the harmonic progression. So then all of a sudden I started to reconnect my ears back onto my head and I started to pay attention. So I was training myself. I took a workshop with him and he said, as violinists, we're so accustomed to hearing just the melody. And do you actually know what the harmonies are underneath? And I said, I have forgotten harmony. So then I started paying attention while we were playing Sleeping Beauty. Sonia, it's 7 a.m. Well, you poor thing. At least you're up. Okay, so I started to pay attention to harmony, and all of a sudden, a whole world started to open up for me while I was playing Sleeping Beauty, Prokofiev Cinderella, Romeo and Juliet. All of these ballets, which were previously ordinary to me, all of a sudden became so rich, so interesting. I heard harmonies that I had never heard before, voices popping out, and all of a sudden I felt more satisfied with what I was playing, more interested in what I was playing. And then it started to translate into what I was studying outside of orchestra. So that's where my love of harmony has come from. And I started to observe that many, many other musicians, not just violinists, were forgetting about the bounty that is inside the music that comes from the body underneath the melody. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Okay, so here begins my little presentation called Harmony is Your Secret Weapon. And I have Lolly to thank for this. She came up with this unbelievable title, and I love it because it happens to really relate to the theme that I have for my teaching. My pedagogy is all about being a violin ninja. So this is perfect. Okay, so this came out actually yesterday. Someone sent this to me on Instagram. The director says, you need to play more musically, and plays the exact same while just swaying your body to make you look more musical. I thought this was hilarious. So this is a really interesting question. When people ask you, okay, could you play that one more time and play it more musically? And then I think it's a common reaction to think, okay, I'm not exactly sure how. I don't even know where to begin. So let me just quickly ask anyone in the room. Oh, what did I just, yeah, there you go. What exactly is musicality? I always like asking this question. And I can't see any chats right now, so if you could unmute yourself if you'd like to answer the question, what you think, what you considered musicality is. What does it mean to be musical? Would anyone like to share? I can't see anybody because I have my share screen on.
I'm thinking, Lynn, trying to follow what the composer, trying to know what the composer wanted.
Oh, okay. So being faithful to the vision of the creator, of the artist. That makes sense.
I think that music is, yeah, and I think that music is a language, and you speak it or understand it. That's
okay, musicality. So expressing yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Expressing yourself through language, but without words. I love that. Anyone else?
I think it's.
This is Julie. This is Julie. I'm a cellist in the Bay Area, and for me, it's listening to the people around me somewhat and trying to clue into what they're doing. And being a cellist, you know, we tend to be on the bottom, so I try to listen to what, especially the middle voices, the violas are saying, and sometimes the second violins.
I love that. It sounds like you're really considering increasing your sensitivity to other voices, right, Julie?
Yeah, I try. It's,
I love that.
Whether it's successful or not, I don't know.
I love that because I do the opposite. As an upper voice, I try to increase my sensitivity to the bass line, to the cello. I love that. So I love that. You and I would get along well. Anyone else before we move on? What I think?
Well, maybe just making the music come alive. You know, it's the difference between just playing notes and making it live. You know,
I love that too. Yeah. So making music come alive. This is perfect segue. How exactly do we make music come alive? So this is where I think a lot of musicians and students students who are a little bit more inexperienced, where do they start? I don't even know how to make it alive. So this is what I thought about. I came up with 4 elements which I thought made up musicality, meaning what do we want to do to elevate musicality? There's some messages. I don't know. Okay, listening to lots of recordings. Oh, thanks, Sonia. Feeling connection, yes, and communication. I agree with those. Okay, so these are four elements that I came up with, and I gave them an acronym. Oh, there we go, SMCS. I think that when we look at the notes on the page, so here we see a bunch of notes, random notes, flailing around on the page. When we look at the notes and we look for deeper significance in the notes, I feel like when we do that, we're getting closer to being more musical. And then when we find more significance in the notes, they take on new meaning to us. Maybe they give us some inspiration for emotion and character. All of a sudden, I feel like once we get that level deeper in our interpretation, then our musicality seems to blossom even more, starts to develop. We're finding more significance, and then it takes on more meaning to us and perhaps to our listeners. Then when you get more meaning, take on some kind of character, whatever character you like. And I actually just yesterday taught my students in my bootcamp class a whole class on finding color and character. So musicality can be approached from the point of view from being an actor looking for more characters. And then when you find more character, all of a sudden things start to pop out and take on new shapes, angles, curves, valleys, peaks. So it all becomes exciting and gives you so much more dimension. When you have more dimension in what you communicate, then we use this language, as people have said already, to communicate to the people who are listening to us or with whom we're sharing this art form. So this is what I personally would look for in my own practice and my artistic practice. If I'm finding more significance in what I'm playing, more meaning in what I'm playing, more character and more shape, I feel like I have a running start to sounding a bit more musical. And then I won't be forced to just rely on moving my body to look more musical. Okay, so here is the topic of today's class, multiple strategies. So I think there are 2 main ways of getting more musical. There's the brain focused ways, the analytical ways, so we can start to analyze the music. And then we can get into more creative ways. So yesterday's class, the one that I taught my students on finding color and character, that to me is being more imaginative, more creative, and that can be a lot of fun and can be very effective. However, today we're going to be looking at more left brain things because we're talking about harmony and theory. But you can combine them. And when you combine all these tools, then you become such a very versatile artist, which I love. There's a question from Sonia. Will we have access to the presentation? Yes, I believe so. Lolly, will you be able to answer that for Sonia? Okay. All right. So knowing theory and harmony is today's topic. And I think that when we do know theory and harmony and we can use it in our interpretations, we can sound more musical and intelligent. It can help us shape a phrase and, okay, harnessing harmony can help make your phrases more meaningful, more exciting, more emotional, and more colorful. So this is the aim of today. And therefore, we can consider harmony as our secret weapon. All right. Okay. So the first analytical strategy that we're going to talk about is really the simplest one, because if we're a little rusty in harmony, and like I said, I was quite rusty in the beginning. I was playing these notes and I didn't know what actually, what am I playing? I'm actually not sure. It's been a long time since I studied theory and harmony. This technique, what I have named accidentals or no accident, is actually my shortcut to understanding harmony. So if you look at the score here, okay, I may not be able to analyze this really quickly or quickly enough, but my shortcut is to quickly look for sharps, flats, naturals, and even double sharps and double flats. For me, these are my immediate flags that are handed to me from the composer that tell me, oh, those notes are interesting. Already, if we look back to SMCS, SMCS, more significance and more meaning. For example, the double sharp F all of a sudden takes on some new significance. Oh my God, it's not an F. It's not an F sharp. It's an F double sharp. All of a sudden that takes on a new meaning to me. So then I treat it as if I'm an actor. And instead of saying, this is a great movie, this is a great movie, because it's F double sharp. So that's my shortcut. Always looking for accidentals. Now, sopranos and basses. So this is another thing that I like to do. I look at the music, and even if it's just a violin part or just a cello part or whatever, a single line, there can be multiple dimensions in the music. Does it leap from one register to another? You can break that up into upper and lower. So that's what I call sopranos and basses. So I can find anything that breaks up in register into multiple different voices. And because they're multiple different voices, I can actually create more characters. So SMCS, more character in my music. Already my interpretation is taking on more dimension. And when you have more characters, there's more shape. Right? Already it's more interesting. We're communicating something. So then we have what I like to call fun and funky harmonies. So this is where we get into some analytics today. So today's first example is going to be Bach. Bach Partita number 2 in D minor, the Allemande. So this is often studied by many, many violinists. And many violinists, including professionals I've heard, will go ahead and play this. Pretty flat. I dare say that it doesn't have the significance, meaning, the character or shape that it possibly could have. So what can we do? But we can look at sopranos and basses. So I'm going to look at the page and see where we can find these. So I'm going to look, for example, for bass lines. So there we go. I've done some homework and I've circled where I can find these bass lines. So already we're starting in tonic, D minor. There's my first bass line. There's my second note on the bass line. There's the next bass line. Changes harmony here, but the implied harmony is the A. And it changes here on the measure 3 to a D. So if I demonstrated this on the keyboard, it would probably sound a little bit more obvious. So D minor. So this would be C sharp on the bass. There's a 7 chord. There's another 1, D minor. There is a B flat, a 6 chord going to the A, dominant. So already from measure 1 to measure 2, we already know where it's going. It's kind of cool. So already we have direction. There's some meaning now, and there's a shape. We're going to the end of 2, measure 2. Now, where are we going? It resolves to D. But I'm going to continue going forward. There's a C7. C7 is going to tell us that it's changing, it's modulating there to an F major. So this is the relative major, a 3 chord. Now that's where he's taking us. This is taking more meaning. There's a B flat. Definitely now we're in the key of F major. There's a dominant of F major, C. Oh, sorry. C dominant, and then it resolves to the F. So already from measure 1 to measure 6, we've traveled from a D minor, which gives me, you can see from my face that my face is quite somber. It already gives me a character, doesn't it? So I take this D and find my inspiration. This is the character we start off. But by measure 6, pardon me, we've changed a character. Why? Because it's F major. It's really fun to take inspiration. So if I were to play that, I could definitely capitalize on these new characters that I've discovered because of the harmony. I've taken you to that harmony. I'm pointing out my bass line. I'm resolving to the dominant, but I'm taking you further on D minor, C, resolving to F, D flat, C. Now we're doing a cadence to F. Beautiful, isn't it? We've changed mood, we've changed character. So let's keep going. Now, if we remember, accidentals are no accident. What do we see here? C sharp. So I see that red flag. This is my first flag. Now I see this as no accident. Easy. What does that tell me? Maybe if I don't know it's a dominant of D minor, I'll know that it means something. It means that it's special, so I will make it special. Maybe that means I add some kind of new tone, vibrato, bow speed. Maybe I want it to be like this. So I'm taking my inspiration from what I see on the page. And that's a D minor part. Now, let's look at more accidentals. Accidentals are never an accident. So then C sharp became a C natural, and then B flat became a B natural. This tells me we're modulating. So modulating, there's more meaning now into these notes. So there is implied E going to A. Beautiful, isn't it? Now this is better demonstrated on the keyboard. This is where it starts to get fun because the harmony starts to change faster. This is measure 8. There's a G up. There's an E dominant. Now this tells me we're no longer in D minor. This is going to tell me that this is a dominant of A. So he's taking me into this harmonic territory. Where is he going with this? He stretches it out. And then now we resolve. But he's going to take it further. G, F, E. And now this is the fun part. Accidentals are never an accident. What do we see here at the end of measure 12 is a B flat. Now, if we're kind of hovering around A minor, B flat is very exotic. This is a Neapolitan chord. We'll talk about this. So we're going into the Neapolitan territory, which is very, very flavorful, as it is in ice cream flavors. And then 14, there's an E dominant, an implied A minor. We're definitely in the key of A minor now, the dominant, right? The dominant key of D minor. And then I'm briefly flirting back with a D minor. No accident. Accident is no accident because we're going to convince you that I am still in. Was that not fun? There's so much in there.
It's so great.
So, pardon me?
It's really wonderful how you're breaking it down.
Oh, good. Thank you for that feedback. Because I see no faces,
we had one
and all I see is this presentation staring back at me. Thank you.
No, it's great. There's one question, and I think it's interesting. You were talking a lot about different characters, and I really respond to that. Sonia was asking, do you think that they are different specific meanings, like expectant or sad or happy? Do you tie them down that much, or do you know, I typically just sort of think it's character change more than.
Well, you definitely can change your mind, right? What if one day, well, even today I posted my practice session of this piece. I started off, actually I didn't post it. I played the repeat. The first one was, so to me that character is a bit like this. But then when I played in the repeat, it was more like this. Those are two completely different characters for the same harmony. So it's up to you. This is the beauty of being an artist. You can take whatever inspiration you want from the harmonies. The harmony is just your stepping stone, your platform, your diving board to what you want to achieve, what you want to create, what you want to evoke. It's like you're a chef in the kitchen. You've got a cupboard of ingredients. You know what's in there, and poof, you know what you want to make. Today I want to do this. Da, 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 yo. No, today I want to do this. Da, da. Same ingredients, but you can create whatever you like. And that can change. Character can change whatever your inspiration is. But if you're searching for something to give you inspiration, this is where you can actually look on the page and use accidentals or no accident, look for sopranos and basses, and start to analyze what the harmony is and how fast it moves and where it's going. Did I answer your question, Molly?
Yeah, that's great. I also want to just an aside, a technical aside. Do you have original sound?
Oh, that's a good question.
Just want to make sure it's on.
Turn on original sound. Okay, it's on now.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, shall we move on to Beethoven? Okay, now, if we look at this melody, so we start off, if people are familiar with the Kreutzer Sonata, it starts off in a very definite A major. So we're definitely in the key of A major. I'll give you that for first of all. Now, if we just take a look at the melody in the violin, it's really simple. Then we go on, it's very simple notes, A, for 2 bars. More bars, lots more A. How many bars of that? That's probably 8 bars of just plain A's. But then it changes to a G. So that's interesting. It's a very simple melody, very few pitches actually, probably C sharp, D, B, and A. And maybe, 4 pitches, 5 pitches? Very simple. So if we're stuck on how to make this more musical, what are we going to do? Got to look at the harmony, don't we? Okay, well, first of all, let's look at the easy shortcut trick that we learned. Accidentals or no accident. Fun and funky harmonies. Okay, so let's look here. Here's my first accidental that is not normally in the key of A major. So this is where keyboard comes in handy. So let's, okay, and I played up an octave, so pardon me. Pardon me, Beethoven. Wake up. There we go. So it started off in A major. Oops. Here we go. In the bass, D sharp. My cello friends will love this because that's what you're responsible for playing now. Here we go. Here we go. There. All right. So if we don't know what these chords are, it doesn't matter. As long as we see an accidental, we know it has extra meaning. The M, S-M-C-S, has extra meaning. So if I know that, as a violinist, let's say I'm playing a string quartet, and Julie, you're my cellist, and you're giving me that D, G sharp, you're giving me that, and then E, and then you're going to change it to an F. If I'm a sensitive chamber musician, I will hear D, 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 D sharp, E, F natural, B. And then I would likely try to respond with color, probably in my left hand or in my right hand. So I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to do is inject more meaning into 4 Bs. 4 Bs are not the same. Why? Because the bass line is changing. The bass line is indicating to me that the harmonies are changing. Now, if we keep going, those plain A's, now remember that we were in the key of A major. Now, let's look. Accidentals or no accident? Oh, C natural. We're no longer in A major. Okay, so this is something special. It has new meaning. Maybe, possibly, new character. How about that character? So let me attempt to sing the violin part. Okay, so okay, here's where it gets interesting. There's a crescendo. Crescendo. Why? That's why. Just a second here. This is a G7 chord. G7, wait a second. This does not belong in A major. Doesn't that sound funny to you? Accidentals or no accident. So we've clearly seen that he's taken this brand new wash of color. It can inspire us to create a completely different nuanced and colored G. So let's do the A's. Now I'm trying to color this differently from major. So now we're in A minor. Perhaps I move my bow out to the fingerboard where I'm going to get a slightly different color because we're in minor. Crescendoing. Why? Because we're introducing this G7. So this is interesting because I had a student play this just yesterday, in fact. So when I told her all about this, it started to take a much, much more shape. It's fun, right? Okay, I think this is where I stop the share. Okay, how are we doing? Any questions? Because I have Schumann and Tchaikovsky. Who wants some Schumann? Or who wants Tchaikovsky? Take a vote. Which one first? Oh, Sonia's Schumann. Okay, thanks, Ashita. I hope you're saying your name right. Right. Sonia asks, would you give different chords?
Yeah, that's the question I was asking. Maybe go ahead and read.
Oh, did you already answer? I'd answer the question already. Okay, would I give different chords or intervals different meanings? Expectant, sad, happy. That's a really good question. I like to look at intervals personally. For example, let's say it's so just tones, whole tones. Would I give this interval a certain character? Sure. But what if it changed to a semitone? I just gave it a completely new character. Why? Because I'm giving my ears, I'm taking my ears and putting more sensitivity to the intervals. And that's actually one of my other musicality techniques, which I call contour technique. By the way, I have all of my musicality techniques, there's 13 of them, in a 24-page guide that I wrote. If you'd like to get that guide, it's completely free. You just have to go to my website. So ask me about that later. You can download that for free. So yeah, Sonia, would I attribute this character to my minor third? Or you can shape them any way you like. Okay, so I answered that question in a slightly different way. Okay, so did I pronounce your name correctly? Thank you. Good. Excellent. Right. Okay, so I'm going to share some Schumann because Ashita has requested it. Okay, Sister Marie Therese says this really helped. I always look at the score when studying a new piece, but looking more at harmony can inform musical decisions. Yeah, it's very true. As a violinist, I'm so used to saying, I don't have time to look at the harmonies. I don't. But if you really want to get into the meat, it's there for us to grab. Okay, so I'm going to share this screen. Okay, we're going to look at Schumann. Now, these are Liederkreis. Okay, so my German is non-existent. But I do have translation where once at home I laid my head, storm clouds fill the air. But father and mother are long since dead, and no one remembers me there. Boy, this is really sad. How soon, and with what ease the time of rest draws near. The wind will rustle through the trees, and none will remember me here. This is quite a sad, sad song. So already, character is already given to us, isn't it? Through the lyric. That's helpful for us as maybe instrumentalists because we don't always have lyrics that give us meaning, significance, meaning, character, shape. Already the lyrics are already helpful. Next thing I would look at is, okay, so title, nicht schnell, not fast. Okay, well, that gives me a slight hint. That's okay, fair. Let's look at the key signature. 3 sharps. Okay, well, 3 sharps usually means A major, but I don't think it's an A major because we see this F sharp. Okay, so that makes sense with the lyrics, doesn't it? Father and mother and not fine and death and all this stuff. It's very somber, isn't it? So let's see. Let's take a look again. The notes. If we take a look at the notes, I'll just scroll through quickly. There's very, very few pitches. So there is a dynamic indicating that it's softer. But father and mother. Okay, so it is repetitive. Okay, now let's, pardon me, there we go. There's an interval, as Sonia was asking. Oh, another interval. Contour. It has shape. Oh, this is the highest note. Contour is very interesting. Oh, remember what we said? Accidentals or no accident? Perhaps this means something. Let's go on. Oh, that's an accidental, isn't it? A natural. Perhaps that means something. Sounds like we're back in F sharp minor. Now let's finish this off. Accidentals are no accident, right? What is that? G natural. And how about again? Oh, wait a second. There's an interval here. Interesting, right? We're already finding some meaning. Just already looking at contour. But harmony is what we're talking about today, isn't it? So let's just take a look from the top with the help of my 80s synthesizer. Okay, actually, you know what's really funny? That's really funny to me. Okay, I won't do that for Schumann, but I just thought it was really funny to throw in there because I have the synthesizer. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have sustained pedals, so it's going to sound a little chunky. But we're in the key of F sharp minor. So this is the dominant, and then tonic. Da 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 da. So it's a very simple chord progression. Now it just makes it softer. Sorry, my volume's a little low. Pardon me. Now, remember what we said about accidentals? Look at the bass, the piano part. There's a B sharp. That's not an accident. It means something. Now, for some reason in my slide presentation, I somehow accidentally skipped the page where I listed the fun and funky harmonies that we're looking at today. This harmony is one of the what I consider one of the fun and funky harmonies that I always look out for in a score. Diminished chords. Diminished chords always inspire me to put on this kind of character. My eyebrows go closer together, and I know that means this kind of character. So when I see we're in a very simple chord progression of F sharp to C sharp dominant, and then da 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 da. Now second time. But father and mother. Now diminished. Already my face is squinting. crunching up. You can do something with the sound there, maybe the timing. Oh, more accidentals. This is a half diminished 7 of some sort. And then we're going back into an F sharp minor, and then to a dominant, a brief flirtation out of F sharp. Okay, let's keep going. No. Another accidental. This sounds a bit different, doesn't it? Character has changed because of the accidental change, the harmony change. A bit more hopeful, perhaps? Now this chord, this is dominant 7th, right? B, D sharp, F sharp. This would indicate it's going to go to a E, doesn't it? So, there's my E. He does give it to me. And then he's going back into the dominant, and then he gives it back to me, the E, but he harmonizes it here, this way. Sorry, pardon me. And then there's a D on the bass, another accidental, so we're moving out of that territory. And then now we're here. Oh, wow. Just a second. Doesn't that sound like a major chord? That has to be a different character, doesn't it? Perhaps it's more soft and a relief. And there's a D major chord. Where are we going? Oh, that's an accidental. The G in measure of the second measure of page 3. So where is that going to go? And then we go to, now we're into F sharp 7, which usually results to B. Okay, so the next measure here, there we go. Now we're in B minor. Now, more accidentals. Ooh, this is a half diminished 7. Very fun and funky, isn't it? Back into B minor, F sharp 7, to a B minor. Remember the diminished? Oh, she's back. Now we have a C sharp, but this is a cadential function. This is as a cadential function because it's a C sharp 7. We're going back to F sharp minor, back home. Now, see these accidentals coming up in this bass here? There's an F sharp 7. Where is it going to go? I don't know. But it takes me to this exotic chord here. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. If we're in the key of F sharp minor, my next category of fun and funky harmonies is the Neapolitan chord. The Neapolitan chord's back. A Neapolitan chord, okay, so if we're in the key of F sharp, the Neapolitan is a flat 2. So normally we do do, re, mi, or do, re, mi, re. We take the re and flatten it. Once you build a chord on the flat 2, this is a Neapolitan. And Neapolitans always sound like a bath of cool water that comes over you. Here, let's listen to it. So the bar before, here it is. There, can you hear the quality of this? Already, new meaning. And then introduces some funky intervals here from accidentals. That's another diminished, which goes to back to F sharp. He flirts around this, and then he brings it back to the Neapolitan. Teasing us with funky chords here. Wait, there is an accidental here. He changed something. The A natural became an A sharp. Wow, he's changed the character from an F sharp minor to more hopeful, perhaps. I hope that gives some inspiration what you can do with very simple notes. The melody of this song, as we saw, is very simple. But you heard how rich the harmony was underneath. So you can do so many things. I mean, just the last 2 lines alone. I know now that this G natural is not just a G natural, it means it's Neapolitan. So what does that mean? I'm going to do something with my sound. And once you do something with your sound, that means I'm saying something. I'm trying to communicate something. Just as Anne was saying about using the music as a language, and also what who said in the beginning that we're getting closer and closer to what the composer wanted. the composer definitely, Schumann definitely wanted something in this line. Nobody knows me here, I believe is the translation. So he chose the Neapolitan chord to underscore those beautiful lyrics. Isn't that cool? I hope you think it's cool like I do. I'm a bit of a nerd that way.
Definitely.
Yes, I heard somebody.
Just agreeing. It's terrific.
Great. Okay, I've got one more thing to share. We're gonna move to
Lynn,
Yes.
what was the title of that piece? Kinder what?
This is Schumann Liederkreis. This
Oh.
title was In der Fremde. Pardon my
Thank you.
German. Pardon my German. And could you please correct my pronunciation? Perhaps you know German and I don't. Okay, so let me call up some Tchaikovsky. Just pardon me for a second because I believe I have it and it just okay, I think I do have it. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna have to share my screen. I will share the screen. Here we go, we're back. Okay, so here it is, fun and funky harmony. So let's just review. Diminished chords, the ones that make my eyebrows furrow a little bit. These are chords that are built on minor thirds. Da, da. That's a diminished. You can add the seventh. They always make me go like this. I love those. They add more anguish to my character, to my musical character. So, another fun and funky harmony is anything that sounds dissonant that needs resolving. So it could be, let's see, I don't know. It could be diminished. And then that could resolve somewhere. There. Now we've resolved. Okay, so anything that sounds, anything we can shape that, right? S, M, C, S. Oh, this comment's coming in. Well, the dominant chord goes from a gloomy G minor to a more hopeful major. Yeah, for example, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Perfect example. Perfect example. Next, next we talked about Neapolitan chords. So let's review this. If we're in the key, let's say of C major, normally a second is the D. When you take the D and flatten it, then you build a chord. So in C major, if you ever hear a D flat, you know it's a Neapolitan. And you'll know it's a Neapolitan, especially if you take a look at the phrase or the harmonic progression, and if this Neapolitan precedes a dominant, it usually goes here. So it goes, then you definitely know it's a Neapolitan chord. Do I have any other examples for you? Well, we covered a few, didn't we? Okay, so next, oh yes, this is a bit of a geeky little side note. Neapolitan's usually in first inversion, so the root of the chord is not in the bass. That's just details. Okay, these are my favorite fun and funky chords, the augmented sixth chords. Okay, this actually comes a lot in the Tchaikovsky ballets that I end up playing in the National Ballet, and I'm always on the lookout for them. So I'm just playing my one note, but I can hear something. Oh, it's a fun and funky chord. Which augmented sixth chord is it? I'm dying to know what it is while I'm playing my violin part. So augmented sixth chords also usually come before dominant chords. So we have what we call the Italian. So let's go back to C major, right? Now augmented sixth chords. So they, let's see, if they are preceded by dominant, they're usually built on flat sixths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We take the 6 and flatten it. Okay, from here, right, that's the chord. Okay, this is, why do they call this an augmented sixth? Is because, picture this, I wish I had four to show you, but this is an A flat. If we go up a sixth, it will be an F. But we're going to augment this sixth. There, this is what they call it, augmented sixth, which sounds like a minor. So if you have that shell, Now from here, if you add a third, right? There we go. It kind of sounds like a dominant seventh, which could go down. However, if it's not going down, resolving downwards, and it goes outwards, meaning that A flat goes to G, and the F sharp also goes to G, that tells me it's an augmented sixth chord. That's why I know it's coming before the dominant chord, which goes to C. Any questions? I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay. Okay. So that's an Italian. What happens when we add above that C, we add a fourth. We add that fourth, becomes crunchy. Hear how crunchy that is? Now we have this flavor, and that will come in romantic music a lot. If it resolves out to the dominant and then back down. Do you hear how crunchy is? The French compared to the clean Italian? Then I know it's a French chord. Beautiful, isn't it? Then the next augmented sixth chord we have is, we have still the A flat, we have major third. Now we add the perfect fifth above, and we still have the augmented sixth. Da, 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 da. It sounds like a dominant seventh, doesn't it? It sounds like that. However, if you see in your music, if it does not go to here, it goes to, oh, it's a bit of a surprise. Fun and funky, right? Then you know it's an augmented sixth chord. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I wish I could show you visually too. Okay. Sister Marie Therese says, I can recognize the augmented sixth more easily in a score, but it is good to try to hear it that way based on its resolution. Yes, I agree. Sometimes I'm confused too in the score. Sometimes I have no idea what it is, and I have to actually visually. I'm much more efficient at analyzing chords when I see them than by ear. Some people are very good at the ear. I have a funny story. In my third year harmony class at University of Toronto, okay, so I thought I was doing okay in theory until this guy, so my prof was something, and he did, I don't know, he just kind of went plunk on the keyboard, and then one smart guy in the back row, he said, oh, that's a C chord with a flat 7, sharp 14, and augmented 11, or whatever it was. He could tell right off the bat. Yeah, he had ears. Okay, he had ears. This is the final selection that I've chosen for today, Tchaikovsky. So as I mentioned, I play quite a few Tchaikovsky ballets, and I think they're quite fascinating harmonically. And sometimes I feel like the rest of the orchestra doesn't appreciate the gold that's inside of the ballet, the harmonic gold. So we're going to take a look at the 6th Symphony, the Patetique. This is a beautiful, beautiful symphony. This is from the first movement, and it's in the key of D major. So this melody could be very simple. Very simple. So pretty. So incalzando. So he wants us to go forward. Why? Why? Because listen, listen, listen. We've got a fun, funky harmony. This is definitely diminished. So this is the reason why that incalzando is there. And we're kind of resolving there. And now we have a, pardon me, I can't reach some of these chords. Now they're diminished. And now we're resolving to the, there's a appoggiatura to the D. It says ritenuto, and it says crescendo. He's giving us clues. He's giving us meaning. It's not just a resolution, a plain resolution. It's growing. Why? Listen to that harmony. That's another fun and funky harmony that I did not write in my list of fun and funky harmonies. This is a half diminished 7. G sharp, B, D natural, F sharp, and that's over the beginning melody. So he's harmonized it differently. Now let's look. In the score we see a D sharp, right? Isn't that interesting? Now this is one of those fun and funky things that you can definitely capitalize on. If I see that D sharp, I'm gonna lean in. Okay, now we go forward, same thing. Another diminished. My furrowed eyebrows come back. another diminished, resolving, but he's giving us another crescendo to the half diminished chord. Oh, I'm gonna have to give that a new character. I don't know what it is gonna be. Maybe it's a heartbreak character. And then there's another dominant, but with a D sharp, crunchy D sharp. Okay, beautiful harmonies, right? But it's seemingly in a very simple melody under a simple D major key tonality. So normally when I play this in a symphony, I only play my part, right? How would I possibly know that this D, is harmonized like this? Oh, but if I know that, if I know that this is a fun and funky harmony, see what I did with my vibrato, or hear what I did with my vibrato? I added the vibrato because I want to express the diminished significance. I let that resolve because it's D major. That's kind of a dominant function, resolving to D. Now, there's a crescendo because it's diminished. There's another diminished here. This crescendo is because it goes to that half diminished heartbreak chord. Here we go. There. I'm going to give that B some significance because there is a crunchy D sharp underneath. Incalzando to the diminished harmony. There's another diminished harmony. There's a crescendo to that heartbreak chord. Let's hear it again. There it is. Oh, and there's that crunchy one. There it is. So that gives this B some love. Okay, so there's a lot of depth. Basically, in simple notes, we can create a lot of depth because we've taken the time to appreciate the gold, the harmonic gold underneath. So that's about it. That's all I have. Does anyone have any comments about that or questions?
Yeah, let's have some questions and thoughts.
Oh, I see Heijin has something to say. At a 2-note scale, an augmented sixth seems so much like a diminished seventh, but in terms of harmony, it's just completely different. Yeah, it's not a diminished, it's a minor seventh. That's a major seventh, minor seventh. But it, you know what makes it augmented sixth is the spelling. So when you look at the actual letter or note names, if it's an A flat and a G flat, then that's technically a 7. A to G is a 7, right? And especially if you're looking at the function, it goes down to an F. But if it's spelled A flat to an F sharp, then F sharp would then go up. Then you know it's an augmented sixth. So that gives you clues. Those are the clues that I'd look for. The spelling, the letters, the letter names. Okay. Oh, yeah,
Yes,
David says.
we'll have the recording for you. So
Oh, there you go. Great. Sister Marie Therese, I think the tidbit about watching accidentals is most helpful to help my students with musicality, especially the younger ones who can't yet do harmonic analysis. Honestly, that is the greatest shortcut, the best hack for me too, because I can't analyze harmonies fast sometimes either. If I can see it on the page, it's, oh, that's an unusual mark. Oh, I see. It's a sharp. Oh, it's a double sharp. Oh, that just gives me a shortcut. The composer wanted something special, and so he chose to put it as a double sharp, natural, or whatever he wanted to put. So that's my shortcut, and I think it works really well. Accidentals are no accident.
What you're pointing out, I think, is that they give you a sense of direction.
Yeah, polarity, right? Where does it? So I like to think about when I see these. Okay, so first of all, I'm scanning for the accidentals. If they take on some kind of new significance, great. However, what kind of meaning do they give me? And then once I decide for myself, okay, it has some kind of meaning. how about asking myself the question, is that harmony a restful harmony? Is it a tension building harmony? Or maybe it's simply a traveling harmony. It's just a pit stop in the road. You can ask these questions to yourself and decide, is that harmony traveling? Is it this traveling harmony, but still has some kind of tension to there? And that sounds to me like a restful harmony at the end, right? So I ask myself those questions, and then all of a sudden I've created a shape, haven't I? I've decided I've created more musicality in my interpretation.
You know, music is so primarily an imaginative art form. And what you're just talking about, how you can have that conversation with yourself and say, what am I feeling right now? Maybe that's what the music is about.
Yeah. Yes.
There are so many cues and clues for you.
Exactly.
And being able to trust your own instincts about what you hear is incredibly powerful.
I like to think, oh, Dorothy, thank you for your comment. A most wonderful presentation. We'll brush up on my harmonies. Thanks so much. Thanks for coming. I just want to actually point out the similarities of when you go into the kitchen and you take all, like, for example, my sister and I were making cookies today, and then we moved on and we started to make a black bean dip. And I said, we don't have lemon, or we don't have lime. I said, we can't make a black bean dip without lemon or lime. And she said, well, we've got balsamic vinegar. And she found a recipe with balsamic vinegar. So today we learned the properties of balsamic vinegar inside of a black bean dip. I feel like once we get to know these ingredients, okay, now I know the difference between balsamic vinegar and lemon and lime. I know these characters. I now know the difference between an Italian and a French. And then therefore I can color them differently, just like I can color my black bean dip or flavor my black bean dip differently, because I know the properties of these ingredients. So you can take your music, and it's not just random black notes on a page, they're ingredients. I've got my salt, I've got my oregano, I've got my bay leaves, I've got my paprika, I've got my chili, and you can use them, you can spice them, you can shape them, you can add more, you can add less. You start to become such an artist, an artisan, dare I say. That word is overused, but you can take all of those ingredients and then you can make your own personal stamp. And I like to think that we each have let's say our own personal pasta sauce recipe. Everyone has their own way to make pasta sauce, right? It's the same thing with your musical interpretation. Everyone plays Bach differently. That's your own pasta sauce. You create your own version, your own ingredients. However, if you're lost about how to do that, you can look for inspiration through accidentals, through the harmonies, looking at the fun and funky ones. And then when you find them, all of a sudden they pop out and they have more meaning. And then from there, once they have more meaning, then you can start to manipulate their shapes and their characters. That's how you become more musical. That's how you become more musical ninja.
Fantastic.
David says, Lynn, you mentioned you have group classes? I do. I have my summer boot camp starting July 5th. It's an 8-week camp. And I have online courses. I have an online course coming on, one of them is on musicality. It goes deeper into all of this.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
And we have a link to your website on our on the workshop page. So
Perfect. Go ahead and download my 24-page guide. I wrote it, and it just can start flowing out. There's 13 of these tips, and I explain them all. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Alita says thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Really, this was wonderful. Thank you so much, Lynn.
My pleasure. Are there any more comments or questions? Because I love talking, and I'm friendly, I think you can tell. Ashita,
Thank you for having the class.
Yeah, Lolly, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. It's just
we
great
have to thank
have
Lolly,
everybody here.
actually. And actually, I should actually go up the chain. Thank you, Garrett, for introducing me to Lolly.
Yes, thank you, Garrett.
Shout out goes to Garrett. By the way, if none of you, or very few of you know Garrett, please get to know Garrett, because Garrett is the Jedi Master at teaching all of this. He really is. Go to his social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. He is the Jedi Master when it comes to all of this. I really respect his teaching. He's the best. Ronald says, I think that we have to put away the metronome and the tuner and listen, feel, and express the music according to what the author wants, and follow the musicians with the musicians around us. Amen. Thanks, Ronald. Well put. I agree. So this is what I mean to say when we are sensitizing our ears, because like I said, the story that I shared about me playing my part in the orchestra pit, I was not being sensitive, but once I started to listen, my ears started to grow. And when my ears start to grow, then I'm starting to become a bit more sensitized to the harmonies underneath. And all of a sudden, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, I came up with the term, bing, it's become a harmonic sommelier. I can detect the difference between a... Come on, keyboard. I can hear the differences. I'm a sommelier. I can tell the 3 differences between, oh my gosh, the 3 augmented 6 chords. Oh, what about the Neapolitan? Well, I mean, that's a great sommelier example. Ooh, that's a funky one too. Whatever it is, I mean, even if you can't analyze it, you know, you can tell by using your ears. It's great.
It's wonderful. Thank you so
Yay.
much to everyone. And Lynn, you've really brought us to a new level of thoughtfulness about playing. So really grateful.
I'm so glad. I get very passionate and jazzed and energized with this whole topic. So Julie says, thank you, Lynn. I'll be playing quartets for the first time in a month. Yay. With friends tomorrow, and we'll listen a lot more. I'm so glad. And Heijin says, thank you so much for the class, lesson, seminar. My pleasure. Corti, your wonderful analysis is also especially great for choral singers. Yes, I agree. And because that's why I wanted to choose the Schumann Liederkreis, because it was vocal. And yeah, all of it's important. Symphonies, vocal scores, violin sonatas, even just single instrument like Bach, solo Bach. We think it's just one line. Oh, but there's so much depth in it, isn't there?
There sure is. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I hope we see you again soon.
Yes. Take care,
Bye-bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks for coming.